I don't know about you, but I'm living on top of the world.
This is Donna Means, and I'm back with my review of Greenleaf Season 1, Episode 12. In Latin, it is Veni, Vidi, Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. And this is basically what Mavis says to Grace, but we'll get to that in a moment. I just want to give a shout out to my faithful subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. I want to apologize for the delay of this review. I had some technical issues that could not be avoided, so I thank you for accepting this as a late review. I also want to thank new subscribers. First, I want to acknowledge Stanley and Lynette from Random TV Reviews. They do a lot of reviews. They're a couple from Virginia, and I tell you, these two are hilarious. You will enjoy their reviews. They do Loving You Is Wrong, Half and Half Nots, and a few others. So after you finish watching my video, you can go over to their video and check out their review for Greenleaf and some other TV shows that you may watch as well. Also want to do a shout out to Felicita Allen, thank you, and Atreyu Singleton, thank you for subscribing. And for all of you, all of my faithful subscribers, I want to thank you and continue to encourage you to vote, comment, and share. And for my Watch Care members, those that don't vote, don't comment, don't share, but they come by and watch me every week, I want to say thank you as well for your viewership, and I pray that one day you will too hit that subscribe button. Alright, with all the love given, let me just give you the highlights of this episode. I don't endeavor to be before you long. The biggest thing in this episode was surrounding Kevin. You know, we have Kevin awkward dinner date with Adrian, the pressure from Lady May to get his marriage back on track, him revealing his secret to Charity, and then Charity's having this adverse response to the news. So the episode starts off with Kevin still sleeping on the couch. He addresses Charity about it. Charity's like, look, until you do the right thing, this is where you're going to be. If not, you'll be out. You know, he tries to get a little aggressive with her with a little bass in his voice, and she's like, tone. And then she basically walks out on him. Lady May comes in and says, look, I've never put my husband on the couch, and if I did, he would have never allowed it to go on this long. You gotta do more than try. You need to be the man that you're supposed to be, and you know, make things right with your wife. Later on, he goes and has that dinner date with Adrian. They're now outside the church, so Adrian is feeling a bit freer to discuss and be open about what has been transpiring between them in the form of attraction and flirtation. But Kevin's being coy about it, and Adrian's like, come on, you've never actually flirted with me. Is that what you're saying? And, you know, Kevin's saying, look, I'm a heterosexual man that's married to Charity. We're about to have twins. And he doesn't confirm or deny the flirtation. He just says, you know, I'm heterosexual. I don't know what you're talking about. He's just being coy. And that really irks Adrian to the point that he abruptly gets up and walks away from dinner. Later on, Kevin does tell Charity about his same-sex attraction. Of course, he's scared, he's crying, he's trying to reassure her that he loves her, he loves the twins, he loves their marriage, and this is something he's been praying about, but it still hasn't gone away. He wants help, and you know, he's scared that what he's about to say to her is going to forever change them, and we don't know for sure that it hasn't. I don't see how it hasn't, but in what way has it changed? And I've actually did a poll on what we thought Charity's reaction may be to hearing the news. Most people didn't feel like she would be able to handle it. She had geared up in her mind that this was with another woman, but for her to hear the news that it's with a man, you know, her first question is, then why did you do this? And she points to her stomach, meaning, why'd you impregnate me? You know, you've had to know for quite some time this is something you were dealing with. But then why, you know, why set this up that we are pregnant now? And now you're saying that you don't know whether you're gay or not. You don't know what you want, you know. And she feels betrayed. And who wouldn't? Really, how do you know how you would respond in that situation? And it is difficult because, especially if the person hasn't been honest with you and telling them the feelings. I feel for Kevin in some sense because I feel like it's not something that's easy to discuss. Most people, even in a society today that is more tolerant, I should say, of homosexuals or LGBTQ, when you're dealing with a church community, that's not something that is easily discussed. That's not something that you can go to your brother or sister in Christ and say, I'm having a struggle, without it being all over town, without people frowning down upon you, without people casting you into a burning hell. You know, instead of them trying to find a way to pray with you and, you know, give you comfort or godly counsel, the first thing they want to do is alienate you. So I can understand his concern and his inability to feel like he could talk to anyone, especially not to a Greenleaf, because really he's an in-law. He's not a Greenleaf. So there's not anyone in the house that he could really talk to outside of Charity. And he didn't want to tell Charity for obvious reasons. So I relate to the difficulty in him finding the words and the ability to express his truth. But, you know, how does he express the truth when he doesn't really know the truth? He just knows that he has this attraction. And what does that mean to her? You know, she's married to this man that she thought was heterosexual, who's now telling her that he has same-sex attractions. So she was, of course, feeling betrayed, and she lashes out at him and begins to hit him, and she winds up falling, and as a result, she has to be rushed to the hospital. The babies are fine. She winds up having preeclampsia because her pressure is high and what have you, so the doctors have ordered bed rest for the remainder of her pregnancy. So that was the biggest thing between Charity and Kevin. Then we have Deacon County Sites meets with Lady May to basically give Lady May a realistic view of the current climate of Calvary. Listen, Lady May is trying to act like nothing's happened. We're having Lady Day, the annual women's conference at the Peabody, which is apparently a very elegant and exquisite place, you know, something they've done for 35 years. But the funding's not there, the attendees aren't there, and, you know, Deacon County Sites is saying, hey, Misty Williams is really bombarding the board with, you know, your antics of demanding that this stays at the Peabody. And she's like, having it at the Peabody would be, you know, fiddling while Rome's burning. You know, this is ridiculous. And so Connie recommends to her, look, let's just have it at the River Bluff. It's a third of the cost. They have the event size for the amount of people. And Lady May said, why not cut it in half? And she said, you don't want, I've seen how that looks, and that's not going to be a cute look. You know, the best thing is to move venues, because you just don't have the amount of people you once did and to attend, and the money's just not there. It just looks ridiculous. She said, but look, I can silence all of this grief that we're getting from Misty Williams. If you convince Bishop to let Grace preach for the summer. When she preached, she got the single highest offerings and tithes of any given Sunday of this year. So, right now, Calvary is hemorrhaging parishioners and money, and she does both. She brings the crowd, she brings the money. Lady May's not trying to hear that, but she says she'll talk to Bishop, and later on she does talk to Bishop. She basically tries to get Bishop to align with her against Grace. In Lady May's mind, the jackals are hovering. They're circling around because of all the scandal, what have you. Bishop's making a suggestion, maybe we can bring someone from the outside. And she's like, look, your health is failing. Jacob is going over to Triumph. And, Deacon Connie Sykes calls herself my friend, but she made the most unpalatable statement about having Grace preach for the summer. We definitely need to have a Greenleaf. And if that Greenleaf is not going to be you, then it's going to be me. Unless you're going to tell me what Robert has over your head, what he is blackmailing you with. And Bishop basically says, okay, I'll tell Connie Sykes that you're preaching. And so you're wondering, really? He disagrees originally with Lady May preaching because he's like, preaching once a year is one thing. But when you try to preach, every Sunday, that's a total different thing. She's like, well, we're going to do something, and the Greenleaf has to be there. So the bottom line is that he's apparently going to go to Connie and said she'll be preaching for the foreseeable future. So really want to know what Robert got on him. I guess we'll find out in the season finale. All right. Grace and Ray had the custody hearing. The ruling goes in Ray's favor because Grace broke the law. Bottom line, she didn't notify the court. And typically because of his lack of participation in Sophia's life, he wouldn't have gotten the ruling in his favor. But because she broke the law, they went towards Ray. So for 90 days, Sophia is supposed to be with Ray. After the 90 days, the original agreement stands, which means that Grace and Sophia would need to relocate back to Phoenix, or Sophia has to return, and Grace visits whenever. And of course, Grace is not going to have that, so she's fighting it with an appeal. And Sophia expressed to her father, I really don't want to go with you. And he's totally dismissing that fact that she said that, and says, I'll pick you up in 2 weeks and we'll fly back in we'll ride back in the Ferrari with the roof down, back to Phoenix. And she's like, the roof down all the way, and for me, I believe that Ray cares about his daughter, but I believe this is more about winning for him. And Sophia's being used as a pawn, and it's not fair. Grace did the wrong thing, sure enough. But I believe Grace truly loves her daughter. Ray didn't even know that they had been gone for a month, and probably wouldn't have known if Sophia hadn't reached out to him. So I'm having a problem. If he was really that active in her life and really concerned about well-being, it shouldn't have taken you that long to know those things. So the next thing we have is Jacob, Pastor Skanks, and Bishop having their conference. And bottom line from the conference is that Bishop Greenleaf begrudgingly gives his blessing to the both of them. And he asked to speak to Jacob in private, And he tells Jacob, look, you're going to have to tell your mother. I'm not getting involved in that whole conversation. But before Jacob tells his mom, he goes to Charity and tells Charity about it. And she almost doesn't believe him. And she said, he's like, I got the blessing for Dad and everything. So Charity goes to check up on her father to see how he's feeling about things. And of course he's not happy about it, but you know, he basically says sometimes she just, you know, got to let someone spread their wings and fly. And you know, while he's expressing that, she sees the tremor in his hand. He tries to play it off, and he quickly stands up because he wants to make a quick exit. He goes over to her side and he tries to hide the hand that's trembling, and he basically says, look, why don't you take over Jacob's office? You know, you sure could use it. You and those twins, I know you could probably use a break in between, you know, different activities and what have you. And then as he's walking away from Charity, you see him kind of limping and favoring his left side. And initially I thought he was having a stroke, but you know, they're showing you that his health is steadily deteriorating. So obviously he was glad to see Grace to come back because he saw her as the next successor. And you know, he never did see Jacob that way. So now we don't know what illness he has because that's undisclosed. And is it just the stress that's agitating him, that's making these symptoms more prominent, or is it just his illness is actually accelerating to the point that he may not be able to preach, at least like every week or whatever. So he needs to do something quick because now Charity is going to be on bed rest. So we know Charity's not even on there. Jacob is at another church and he never planned on restoring Jacob. Faith, of course, is deceased. The only one would be left is Grace, and right now Grace is not in his good graces. So we have to see if we're going to get any information in the last episode, the season finale, about what his illness is and about what Robert is holding over his head. Is Bishop headed to jail? That is the question. Is Calvary's doors about to shut? You know, what can Calvary survive this? Please write your comments below. If you have some theories, please let me know. Engage me. Now, once Jacob lets Carissa know that everything's finalized, Carissa is communicating with Mr. Dorsey. And Mr. Dorsey looks like he's a little younger colleague that has a very strong attraction to Carissa. So, you know, Carissa informs him that, hey, you know, my husband just took a job with Triumph Church. That means he'll be around more. So, you know why I'm saying this. Like, basically, you're going to need to be in your good behavior. So a lot of people are taking that they're having an affair. I really don't think it's an affair of like a physical type. I think it's more of this young man is attracted to her. She likes the fact that he's attracted to her, and they spend their lunch breaks together, and she enjoys whatever sweet nothings or, you know, looks or glances that make her feel wanted and desired. She enjoys that. I don't think that she's pursued it on any level, but, you know, definitely, you know, he's letting her know all kinds of interest. Noah sends Grace an email, a FYI, saying Isabel's returning. And when she receives this email, she is not happy. And she goes to his office where he is talking to new security members and informing them of Lady May's commandment of thou shalt not have Henry McCready, aka C.D. McCready, in the building. So when she comes and says, FYI, really? And he excuses the guards. And she says, so are you two getting back together, or what's the deal? Because remember last episode, they had low lighting, soft music, and wine. And now he's sending her FYI. Like, basically, they're like 2-3 feet away from each other as far as their offices. And so she's like, really? FYI? An email? And so he's like, yeah, we've been communicating and talking about that. But see, the thing is that he never told her that from the beginning. And he basically has been alluring to the fact that maybe he wants more from her. So, of course, she walks away frustrated. Later on at the mansion, he comes knocking at her door. And he's like, can I talk to you? And she's like, send me an email. But she tells him to come in. They start talking. Now, their conversation gets interrupted by the sound of sirens. Those sirens were for Charity, because after Charity heard the news and she started fighting her husband and fell out, you know, then they had to call the ambulance. So we didn't get the full gist of what was going on. But Noah does say, listen, I was confused. I thought I was fine until you returned. Then all the feelings came back. You know, I thought everything that in our youth could be real again. And, you know, basically, like I said, it got cut off. So I don't know if they get to continue that conversation in the next episode. But really, bottom line, Noah, make up your mind. Okay? Seriously, stop. Burn the candles at both ends. Just make up your mind. What do you want? Do you want Isabel? You know, what you need to do is leave both women alone so you can figure out your own feelings. Because that's what you were supposed to be. You were supposed to be in time out. You know, leaving Isabel alone and you working through your feelings and deciding what you wanted. Now, Isabel told you that you were romancing the past and not necessarily in love with Grace. And maybe that's what you're doing. But you need to figure it out. Just, Noah, just get it together. You know, and, you know, definitely Grace never let that go. Let her feelings for Noah go. So I don't know if she's just romancing the past as well. But he's not doing either woman justice. And Grace right now feels that she wants Noah. So, you know, she's pursuing it. But he's the man. He needs to be the man. And he needs to say, okay, I don't want to hurt anyone. And just because you don't make promises, you can't act one way one day and then turn a different direction the next. You know, be consistent. Like, that doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's my Noah rant. Grace finally visits Mavis's bar, and she finds that Mavis is packing up. Robert made good on his promise. He went to his people in the mayor's office, got the bar considered as a historical landmark. The city gave Mavis some money for it. She tried to stop the injunction, but was unsuccessful. They won't budge in City Hall. And she basically said, look, I knew that I was sticking my hand in basically the beehive and I can't, you know, be mad because I got stung. And Grace is like, but you sure can say ouch. Bottom line is that Grace says, you know, that she's having some regrets with how things were done and how it's impacted the church. And that really infuriates Mavis. You know, because Mavis is like, you know, after what happened to your sister, how your parents buried the truth, that church deserves to shut down. And Grace disagrees, and she says, look, that church turned your father into a two-bit hustler. It turned your mother into a preening swan. And the church did this to them. You know, it caused them to be all about money, nothing else. They have a form of godliness. They don't know what godliness is. They hide behind the church. You know, they're not really being the church, is the bottom line. And, you know, she said, basically, you saw, you came, and you called it. Just go. and she basically kicked, I didn't really feel like Mavis was kicking her out the bar. I thought she was really just telling her, go back to your life. There's no reason for you to be here now. But you can tell that there's anger and bitterness there for Mavis. And I want to see how that's going to manifest in this last episode as well as in season 2. Because we definitely know that there's a blowout between Lady May and Mavis, so everybody's anticipating that. But I still believe that Mavis is a puppet master, and so she is, I feel like, definitely going to be up to some things maybe in season 2. I think she has an agenda. She wanted revenge. She was glad to get her brother behind bars. And she's glad to see the church crumble. Like, I believe that ultimately she feels like, they put her to the side so long ago, and now, they're getting their just desserts. But is there something more, is what I want to know. Is Mavis actually done? Do you believe that she has any other agenda, or do you think she's done with it now that potentially Calvary's church doors may close, and the scandals have hit the Greenleafs and the church? Do you think she feels like enough has been done, or do you think she's looking for something more? Put it in comments. That was really it for the agenda. We see most hated character this week is Robert McCready. He was actually second for a long time. It was Kevin Satterley at one point, and then Lady May, she held it the longest. Now it's back to Robert. So number 3 is Carissa, and Kevin has fallen to 5th place, and Bishop James Greenleaf has come up to 4th place because of the whole thing with Grace, I believe. Grace and Noah actually have no points for being hated. So that is basically this episode, but I am so excited. I can't wait until we get to the season finale, and that particular review should be on time. So I do appreciate you being patient with me. I do want to give you Lady May's most stinging one-liners. My favorite lines, most of them come from her, and they are: number 1 is, promise me you are not here to sow discord in my fields of peace. And then that was, of course, to Grace when she first met her. The second one is, I just hope you approach this opportunity with the appropriate humility, when she's talking about that she supports Grace preaching in episode 6. And then, and who are you standing here talking about being called by God, looking like you've been rolled hard and put away wet? Of course, again, Lady May to Grace. This one is Lady May to Carissa. Strength like yours, dear, is best expressed in stillness. And then the 5th one is, I never seen 2 people looking so pretty in barred clothing. And that's when she was talking about Fred and Misty Williams after the annual Women's Day meeting. So those are like my 5 favorite lines from Lady May. Leave me comments, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down for this review. Whatever the case, I do appreciate you watching, and thanks again. Until the season finale, bye.